Hello and welcome to Inside Edition, where we discuss national, regional, and international issues in depth. Established with the aim of contributing to the ICT industry in Bahrain through various programs, plans, and partnerships, the Bahrain Technology Companies Society, and since its establishment in 2012, has been committed to playing an active role in the development of the information technology sector in the Kingdom of Bahrain, as well as fully elevating the status of the sector and bringing ICT companies in Bahrain to a competing level with their regional and international competitors. To know more about that, we are pleased to be joined here in the studio by the CEO of Bahrain Technology Companies Society, Mr. Abdulaziz Gambar. Welcome back. Joining me here in the studio is the CEO of Bahrain Technology Companies Society, Mr. Abdulaziz Gambar. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you very much for hosting us today. As you stated, my name is Abdulaziz Gambar and I'm the CEO of BTEC. BTEC stands for the Bahrain Technology Company Society, which is a society that was established almost 9 years ago with a specific focus on the ICT and technology companies in Bahrain.
Right. When we talk about the ideas and the importance of the ICT industry, not everybody might immediately grasp it, but ICT is really involved in every single aspect of our life currently. What are the companies or what can you give us an idea about the role and importance of the ICT industry and its companies here in the kingdom specifically?
Okay. Since our inception, I think the founders who created the society, they all believed in the digital sector movement in the future. Now, what happened in the last 2 years due to the COVID situation, we see not only in Bahrain, but also in the region and globally, a lot of adaptation for digital transformation.
Right.
The concept of digital transformation has been there for a long time, but until 2 years ago, no one really pushed for it. If we look at schools, educational sector, we saw that they have to have students on premises when they are conducting their studies.
Right.
Because of the pandemic situation, now we see them doing it online.
Right.
Same thing for government officials. They are working now remotely when it's needed. But that setup was not there before the pandemic. Right. So what happened in the last 2 years was an evolution for the humanity to move forward probably 50, 60 years from today, and they stepped into it very quickly. The importance of the ICT sector for Bahrain and for the Middle East market, that it will be then our next economy. We have today the economy that depends on oil and gas. We have economy that depends on the SME sector, and the SME could be anything, could be health sector, could be educational sector. We have an economy that depends on tourism. But now we also have a very powerful economy that depends on the ICT sector. And this economy is called the digital economy. In Arabic, we call it الاقتصاد الرقمي. So that's very important now. And most of the countries, whether in the Middle East or around the Middle East, they're all focusing with their governments to see how much the digital economy could be developed and could contribute to the overall GDP of the country.
Yes. And when we look at Bahrain specifically, really the digital economy has boomed here already a while back, but maybe has been in the spotlight only currently after the pandemic. How do you value Bahrain's always forwardness and trying out these kind of technologies, especially new technologies such as this?
As you said, it's correct. Bahrain has been always one of the leaders in the region when it comes to deployment of technologies. If we look at the telecommunications sector, in 2003, Bahrain was the first country globally, not only Middle East, but I'm talking about the whole world, that one single operator, as a mobile company, they launched the 2G network, the 2.5G network, and the 3G network, and video call. In 2003 and 2004, the video call concept was not even yet available for people on their mobiles. So Bahrain was the first one to do it, and even companies from Europe, they started to interact with us. They started to ask us how you did it in Bahrain and how can we share this experience with them in Europe. And Europe is very advanced when it comes to telecommunication. So as you said, Bahrain has been always forward thinking when it comes to deployment of technology. Also a few years ago, we were, I think, the first country in the region, in the entire Middle East region, that deployed and brought in Amazon Web Services. And this, again, pushed Bahrain to be on the front end when you look at the whole map in the Middle East market, that we are the first country to do all of this.
Right.
Putting the part of the electronic governments, okay,
Yes.
on cloud services. This was a huge initiative that most of the countries in this region could not understand and value it, but now everyone is thinking and considering the same model that we had.
Exactly.
And what happened also during the pandemic period, we were very quick and very fast to adopt all the cloud-based technologies within our government facilities and within the private sector. It took all the other countries around us more time to do this adaptation. That is not because we are small in size, honestly. It's because we are very fast and flexible, yes, and we have been doing this since maybe 15 years to adapt ourselves to new technology.
Absolutely. These technologies have actually been there already, but the pandemic sort of put them in the spotlight. And we can see also that the advancement of these technologies didn't stop at us using them, but they're being advanced and progressed as we go on every single day. How do you value the constant support and facilitation provided by the Bahraini government specifically to the ICT industry and its infrastructure?
Okay, we as BTEC, we play a very important role to become a bridge between the ICT private sector and the government, let's say, sector. And what we do is not only to request for support, but we also try to collaborate with the government in putting our recommendation for rules and regulation, for legislations, for licenses, with, for example, the TRA, with Ministry of Commerce. And there are a lot of Bahraini government sectors who believes in us. I would like to thank, in particular, His Excellency Engineer Kamal bin Ahmed, Ministry of Transportation and Telecommunication, because he's been highly supporting BTEC and highly supporting the direction that we want to take with the ICT sector in Bahrain. All other stakeholders as well, like Tamkeen, the IGA, other ministers, they are always supporting us either to take the Bahraini companies from the ICT sector and export them outside Bahrain. We try to put them in events like GITEX, which held in Dubai. We try to build up international network for them. So the government of Bahrain has been for a long time very supportive in that direction. And to put an indication of how much they supported us with that, in the last 15 years, okay, the Bahrain government has been pushing and supporting the ICT sector to be in GITEX. So for 15 years, we've been participating due to the government support with us as well on positioning the Bahraini unique ICT companies in the regional footprint.
And when it comes to GITEX, for those who are watching us and don't know it, it's one of the biggest events that happens in Bahrain, and the importance of the people that are basically exhibiting there is usually what affects us in the future when it comes to the ICT kind of arena. Technologies develop after that. Now, can you tell us a little bit about the establishment of the Bahrain Technology Company Society, or BTEC, in addition to its main mission and its vision?
BTEC was established, as I said, 9 years ago, with the founders, majority of them coming from the ICT sector, ICT background, some of them from the telecommunications, some of them with multinational experiences. And the aim was to create a sort of an entity that can somehow support the ICT sector, support their growth as well, bring new alliances and networking, whether it's regional, local or international, as well as try to put a roadmap, an ICT roadmap for the sector, and try to contribute with this roadmap to the overall roadmap of the ICT strategy for the country. So that was the aim when BTEC was established. Of course, what happens post-pandemic, that all of us, we've been in an acceleration mode. So some people, they look at COVID that it was a very bad thing that happened to humanity, and we all agree. But one positive side of COVID was to accelerate the digital development in countries and in companies as well, and in nations. So we become more and more digital nations that depends on digital technologies to move forward with any concept that we have as of today. And probably one important objective for BTEC is to support the Bahraini company to find the right partners and work with them internationally. So rather than only focusing on Bahrain as a market, how do we support them to go to Saudi Arabia, to go to UAE, to go to London, to go to Korea, to go to Japan? All of this is actually available today, and it's possible for Bahraini companies to do it. Some of them, they don't have the means, some of them, they don't have the know-how, some of them, they need mentoring, and this is where BTEC plays a vital role for that.
Yeah, right. Really going or pushing against the odds in the field of ICT is what it sounds like BTEC does. It pushes against the odds and tries to find solutions in order to make the life of the citizens and the people working within the institutions that use ICT easier. Yeah. What can you tell us about the society's structure, its objectives, the stages of development it has witnessed?
Okay. When we started as a simple NGO, and then as a society in Bahrain, and then we moved to have our digital channels, for example, a website, social media. Then after that, we started to put roadmaps and strategies. We started to have more and more members interacting with us. Okay. And this was various stages in the last 9 years. Moving forward, okay, in 2022, we are focusing on tremendous change. There will be a big change because we want to focus more on the startups. We want to focus more on the role of women, okay, when it comes to technology in the Arab region, and what women are contributing and how women are directing with us. The young people, some people, they think entrepreneurs are at the age of, let's say, 21, 22, when you graduate from university. It's not true when it comes to technology. You have entrepreneurs across the world who are today maybe 12 years old. Absolutely. And they are making $100 million, $200 million from social media channels, from technologies. So we see a huge shift in the entrepreneurship where the young generation are more involved in the ICT sector than before. Yes. So these would be our future plan. One of our good plan as well, and I think it was announced in the newspaper a few days ago, in collaboration with Gulf Future Business, GFB, they supported us to collaborate and create the first Bahrain-based business center in Saudi Arabia and the Eastern Province. At phase 1, phase 2 would be in Riyadh, and phase 3 would be in the Western Province in Saudi Arabia. And the aim is to take the Bahraini ICT company and technology company, whether they are a startup, whether they are well developed, and try to help them to establish themselves as a base in Saudi Arabia. So with our alliances, with our partners like GFB, we are now for the first time trying to create a real milestone where we will take physically companies and we will try to support them with sales, marketing, market intelligence to go to the Saudi market. After that, we also have planned for next years to start operating in the same model in UAE and other nearby market. And why we focus on Saudi Arabia and UAE? Because based on the statistics, the digital economy, 65% of that economy in the Middle East is in Saudi Arabia, and around 40% is actually in UAE. So these are huge two markets to step into it, and Bahraini companies has very unique products and services when it comes to the ICT sector for them to push it in these markets. Sometimes they have so unique products in Bahrain that the other nearby market, they need it, but they are not aware about it, that we have it here.
Absolutely, and going into that different market with its vastness, and there's a huge demographic there that's totally different than Bahrain, but having those basic information, as you said, Bahrain has the idea already, it has initiated the program, put the policies and procedures, so they've done already most of the work and now just spreading it around. That's fabulous news. What are the main previous and current activities and events that are held by the society?
On yearly basis in Bahrain, okay, because we'll divide it now into 3 regions. We have Bahrain, we have the Gulf region, and then we have the international market. In Bahrain, on annual basis, we hold an event called Meet ICT and BTEC. And BTEC is similar to the concept of what GITEX and UAE and Dubai are doing. But we focus mainly on the Bahraini companies. We bring in the telco operators in alliance with the ICT sector and our members. We have around 200 members. And we try to actually open a platform for the Saudi visitors, the Emirati visitors, the Kuwaiti visitors, the Gulf visitors to come and interact with the companies that are in Bahrain. In 2022, we also have Meet ICT in collaboration with one of our partners, WorkSmart. under the umbrella of Gulf Future Business, GFB. We want to showcase more startups, and we want to encourage a lot of investors to visit us and to look at the startups that we have in Bahrain. Some of them are brilliant in their ideas, in the app industry, what they developed as well. In the telco sector, we have unique models that is not available in the rest of the GCC market. So this is one of the events that we do here. We also do Virtual Bahrain, what is an event that will focus on virtualization. And this year we have also in January, we have, and we are very proud about the next event. We have an event that is called Women Tech. And Women Tech is a very specific event that is conducted for the first time in the Arab market, in the Arab region. Our focus is what women are doing in technology when it comes to the Arab Pan. So we have almost 60 speakers, very prominent speakers. Some of them, and majority of them are women, but some of them has been ex-ministers, some of them has been from the investment house in Abu Dhabi, in Saudi Arabia. Some of the leaders from Saudi Arabia, they are women who put their name and their mark in artificial intelligence. So we're bringing women from all the Arab countries, Egypt, Morocco, Tunisia, the Levant area, the Gulf region, between them and the audiences to discuss what is their vision, what is their mission, how do they see as women, their role in creation of digital economy. So this is one of the events that I personally am very proud that we as Bahrain has launched that. We as Bahrain have thought about it. This is for the whole Arab region, but Bahrain is the one that is pushing for it now.
Definitely.
And this was all in conjunction with, in collaboration with WorkSmart. They did a brilliant job in the last almost 2 to 3 months to make this a reality.
Yes, that's amazing. When we hear all of these different fields that you have in ICT, it's very important to mention here that you yourself are the president of the Arab ICT Union. And because of your role there as the president, you have a lot of foresight on how you imagine the ICT community will be, not just in Bahrain, but in our region. Can you give us your opinion on where you're seeing this heading?
As a CEO of the ICT Union, we see more and more no boundaries happening between us and the Arab region when it comes to digital economy. Digital economy, for the first time, created a new sort of unity between us to collaborate in the Arab region. So we see a huge empowerment that is coming to the digital economy from the collaboration between us and all the Arab region, and sharing the experiencing and sharing also the best practices that we want to push for it. Going back to your question about the event as well, because I will link it now.
Yes, do.
GITEX is a very critical and important event for us in Bahrain, which is held in Dubai on an annual basis. It's in October. And for the last 15 years, we've been supporting a lot of Bahraini companies to go there. Government sometimes participated with us on an annual basis. His Excellency Engineer Kamal bin Ahmed, the Ministry of Telecommunication and Transport, he always supports us. He sometimes visits us. Tamkeen supports us. Batilco, Alba, you have a lot of companies and government officials, they support Bahrainis to be based in GITEX. And why I want to talk about GITEX a bit for the audiences to focus on it. It is important for the Bahraini companies who believe themselves that they have unique products, unique services to go to GITEX, because even though GITEX is held in Dubai, GITEX is very much multinational event. It is probably one of the largest events that is happening on an annual basis for all humanity to participate in it. And they have special streams for fintech, special stream for startups from all the countries. You are talking about 180 countries participating there. So when we put Bahrain on the roadmap there with GITEX, we see a lot of attention that comes to us. Last GITEX, which was during pandemic time, this year, we had at least countries, not companies, but countries visiting us. More than maybe 20 countries visited us. We closed some MOUs there with some of these countries. We had a huge delegation that comes to understand what is the importance of Bahrain, how Bahrain can become one of the gates, okay, for the Middle East market.
Absolutely.
How international companies can base themselves in Bahrain and venture from Bahrain to the rest of the Gulf. There is a huge value, okay, when we bring in the Bahraini companies into GITEX. This year, even though it was during pandemic, it was one of the most successful GITEX that was held, not only for us, but for GITEX overall. And for us, I think we had 26 companies and around maybe 20 or 30 startups that was with us. And 3 of these startups has been on the finalist list for the Dubai GITEX initiative for startups. So you have a startup competition in GITEX where you have maybe 100 companies and from different countries as well. They participate to showcase their strength. And it's very interesting that among the top finalists was 3 startups from Bahrain. And you are talking about startups that coming from Europe, that coming from Japan, that's coming from Asia, that's coming from America. So this proves to us how much Bahrainis are very unique when it comes to their ICT capabilities. So that's on a regional scale, what we are looking for. In 2022 and February, we are also participating, and we would like to welcome anyone else who wants to join us from the ICT sector. We are participating in an event called LEAP, and leaping into the future. This is the concept. Is the first edition that will happen in Saudi Arabia and Riyadh. And the focus of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is to bring all the technology and ICT sector under this umbrella called LEAP, and try to create a synergy between them and the opportunities they have also in the Saudi market. So this is also the first time that Bahrain will participate in it because it's the first edition as well in Saudi Arabia. But it is a big opportunity because 65% of the regional economy is within Saudi Arabia. So it's important for Bahrainis to go there. That's on a regional level. On the multinational level, we have a lot of events that we participate on it, or we try to plug ourselves with them using the Arab ICT Union as a platform. We try to collaborate with 9 countries today under the Arab ICT Union to open the doors and facilitate things. When we announced, as an example, the business center that we established it with GFB in Saudi Arabia, we received a request from Jordan. Not from Bahrain only. So there is around, I think, 26 companies from Jordan who are really interested to talk to us, for us to advise them and guide them on how to tap into the Saudi market, and probably some of them will come to our business center. So if you see now, we are gluing so many things together by only operating something as simple as a business center in Saudi Arabia. But that's the power that we have today as Bahrain, leading the ICT initiative in the region, and as well as an Arab ICT Union to push the rest of the Arab nations to collaborate with us to bring the new, let's say, disruptive technologies and advanced technologies when it comes to digital economy.
Absolutely. When it comes to the main, of course, in performing its duties, the society deals and cooperates with various institutions. What can you tell us about these kind of collaborations? How do they contribute positively to aspiring the goals that you have set for yourself?
You mean in the Arab region, or you mean in Bahrain?
Both, locally, nationally, and internationally. The collaborations. How important are collaborations for the success of projects such as the ICT?
In the past, I think it was around 30 to 40% of success. And Dubai, and what we do with World Trade Center in Dubai for GITEX, is a clear indication for the last 15 years. But moving forward, because of the pandemic and what the pandemic did as an accelerator, I think it will become 90% of our power that we want to bring it forward to all of our members. So the collaboration is a very important and vital role. We cannot be in all markets. So today we want to collaborate. For example, we had a visit with the Chamber of Commerce. We want to collaborate with Chamber of Commerce in Bahrain. We had a good meeting with Tamkeen and the CEO to see how do we support each other to put a unified strategy for the ICT sector moving forward. We've been meeting with Export Bahrain and their team to see how do we collaborate with them and their network to open the door for the Bahraini companies to go abroad, to go outside Bahrain, not only to Saudi Arabia or the nearby market, but globally. Why you don't want to be in China or in Japan or in Korea or in London? You as a Bahraini company has all the opportunities and all the support from the government officials to help you to do that. The only drawback we have today there are so many initiatives that it's too difficult for a simple entrepreneur or a simple ICT company to consume it. Yeah.
Okay.
So this becomes now our role. When we collaborate with all of them, we create awarenesses, we create webinars, we create symposiums.
Yeah.
We try to bring all of these stakeholders to support us to convey their programs to the ICT sector, and we try to encourage with our collaboration locally or internationally the ICT companies to come to us. Yeah? Jordanians are consulting with us as an example to go to Saudi Arabia, not only Bahraini companies. Yeah?
Yes, yes.
So that's very important and a very good role, okay, that Bahrain is trying to become a, let's say, a sort of an advisor when it comes to the ICT for the region because of the collaboration that we are doing.
Yes, especially that ICT actually goes into all different kinds of fields, and Bahrain has the experience, whether in the healthcare system or in the commercial system. Bahrain has the experience in all of these fields.
Correct.
Bahrain Technology Company Society, BTEC, has established in partnership with Gulf Future Business and Business Center in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, as we've mentioned, that provides various services and opportunities. Now, how do you feel that is going to open doors for BTEC to the rest of the region, to the rest of the world?
Okay, it will be a big leap, okay, a big jump, okay, for us. It's an acceleration mode. Currently, in the last 9 years, BTEC was focused a lot on the Bahraini companies to see how do we push them into certain events like GITEX or BITEX or Meet ICT that is held every March in Bahrain. But once the business center is operating in Saudi Arabia, okay, which is in January, okay, there is a huge opportunity for Bahraini companies to, first of all, visit Saudi Arabia. We will walk with them. Okay, we will guide them how to go to the market, and also we will allow them to interact with different peers in Saudi Arabia. So you don't go alone into the country. You will go with us, and we will try as well to build up a network for you because we already have collaboration with so many stakeholders in Saudi Arabia.
That will facilitate.
And we will facilitate all of that for you. Okay, this is part of our responsibilities and duties toward the Bahraini companies. Similarly, because of the attention that we are getting from other entities that we are collaborating with, whether it's in Egypt, in Jordan, in UAE, a lot of them also wants to have the same vision, the same step. Yeah, so it's very easy for us now to network the Bahraini companies with the other companies who have the same objective to tap in the same market. Yeah?
Right.
So it is the first step to push the Bahraini startups, the Bahraini ICT companies to go to the nearby market. But we want to continue on this initiative, not only to cover Saudi Arabia, UAE, and other countries that we see them very vital and important for Bahraini ICT companies to be there.
Right. What is the biggest challenge that you presume will be facing you once it happens?
You mean the business center?
Yeah.
Okay. I think the biggest challenge for us would be convincing the Bahraini companies that you have to have a bigger dream. Please aim high. Okay, sky is not the limit. Whomever stated that sky is the limit is a wrong statement. There is no sky limit. The limit is what you put for yourself.
Yeah.
So I think that's our biggest challenge, to prove to them that you can do it. You can go to the Saudi market, and we already have successfully with GFB at least signed, I think, 4 to 5 companies. Amazing. Since the day that we announced, which was only 3-4 days ago. We have at least 3-4 companies, okay, that are signed with us and they want to go to Saudi market, and we'll start all of this in January. So that would be the biggest challenge. The second, I will not call it a challenge. The second thing we would like to do is to collaborate more and more with Export Bahrain and Tamkeen and the EDB to see how do we bring their alliances with us, because all of them, they are trying to do the similar initiative for across all sectors.
Yeah.
But since we are more specialized in the digital economy, more specialized in the ICT sector, it would be also our duty, let's say, and responsibility to see how do we collaborate with them and how do we bring them as a stakeholder in these projects that we want to launch it outside Bahrain.
Right. That's amazing plans ahead, and I'm sure a lot of people are questioning how do they become a member of the society. So what are the required procedures for them?
It's very complicated. No, I'm just joking. The process is so simple. Okay, you just need to go to the website btec.bh. Okay, there is a menu there where you click an area for membership. It's a simple application. You just fill it up, okay, and you send it to us.
Criteria.
Or you just email us. Okay, there is an email as well. Okay, and it comes to us. The criteria is very simple. As long as you are an ICT company, whether as a startup or as a local company or an international company from outside Bahrain. As long as you have an ICT product, an ICT strategy, typically that's the only requirements we have. We don't have very complicated requirements. Recently, we've been in the last 2-3 weeks in discussion with some large Asian companies. I cannot disclose their name at this stage, but they're large operators in Asia to entice them to become members in BTEC Bahrain. So why they will be interested in BTEC Bahrain and so on, this is how we put it as a reality, what Bahrain can do to you as a company. If you have an interest to step into the regional market in the Middle East and in the GCC, we could be a great positioning for you. We could be a great facilitator for you as an NGO, and we've been there for a long time to understand the value of what we can deliver to the ICT sector. So you see there is an attention that's coming now from a global market to become a member, and this is because of the simplicity that we have as conditions for any member to join us. We're not very complicated, we're very simple. We're trying just to support the ICT sector, whether it's in Bahrain or outside Bahrain.
Right, absolutely. Part of being or supporting a field such as the ICT is also preparing the next generation for what ICT is going to come to at the end. So from your point of view, how important is it to spread awareness among the youth? Should education be more focused on the technological fields? What can you tell us about how important youth are to the ICT field?
Very important. I would say they are the next big force to be seen. The youth as young as, let's say, even 16 or 14 years old, they are creating a tremendous force in disruptive technologies. They are thinking out of the box because they had so many exposure to technologies since they were maybe 5 years old. Not like us. I'm coming from a generation where at my age, at that time, I did not have technology access. Today, most of the kids, they have phones, they have tablets, they have access to the internet. They are learning very fast from all the intelligence tools that they have on their machines, from their wearable devices, from the IoT thing. And all of this combined allows the young people to act quicker sometimes than the older generation. And the young people are going to be the future companies and the future economy for all of us. And as a BTEC, what we are trying to do in 2022 is to collaborate with a lot of young people, try to look at the startup ecosystem, try to support the governments to put a more holistic and more executable approach for the startup, for the tech startups, let's say in specific, where these young people can have some sort of an empowerment when it comes to technology. We have other NGOs in Bahrain who are proudly working on empowering young people and the youth, but they are across all sectors, not only technology. Our focus would be more on the technology sector, which we see more and more attention from the young generation are going toward that direction. Also, what we want to do is to focus on the young and let's say not only the young but the women sector. Women are very important, and in the technology field, if you look at the CEOs of the companies of the telco in the Arab region, you will find that majority is dominated by men. There's nothing wrong about it, but I think women as well should be given good opportunities to showcase their innovation, to showcase their thought leadership when it comes to ICT, disruptive technologies, artificial intelligence. There's a lot of things that I think women and young generation can do in the society when it comes to the ICT sector.
Right. When we talk about women in Bahrain or in the field of IT or ICT, Bahrain actually has a lot of examples of women leading in the technological fields, not to mention names, but there are many of them. Having that in mind and your position as well, from your point of view, how do you see the future of technology companies here in the kingdom?
Promising. Number one, we have the country and the government supporting that move. We have His Excellency as an example, first of all, Kamal bin Ahmed, he is pushing a lot for ICT companies, and he physically support that. In the last event that we had on the 8th of December, he personally came there, to our event, to celebrate, 15 years of success in GITEX. He also shook hands with the startups that has been there in GITEX. He supported with a speech and with a talk and recommendation for all the companies that are supporting us. So if you see what the government are trying to do, they are trying really to support the ICT move more than anything else. And I think more and more this has started to become vital post-pandemic, because we see the evolution that the technology has been created to humanity, not only to Bahrain, when it comes to the new norm, let's say, of how do we conduct our life and our lifestyle. Adding to that, I think under the vision of His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa, I think he also wants that, and the Crown Prince as well, I think he also wants to see the ICT sector growing and gluing with the rest of the GCC market. So we see from the higher authority in the country, all of them are working hand in hand with the ICT sector to push the evolution for the ICT sector. So in Bahrain is extremely promising, and Bahraini companies as well, and Bahraini mindsets, they are very agile and flexible to push themselves to the next level. So there is no showstopper for us today to become even a global company starting from Bahrain.
That's amazing. When we look at the future plans and the upcoming projects in Bahrain, we want to know what is the society planning on for the future? Is there anything specific that you can tell us about?
I think part of it we discussed it already, which is expanding the ICT companies to the nearby market, whether it's Saudi Arabia, UAE, and others that we are working with several partners in doing that. Secondly, to focus on women and the role of women. Number 3 is a startup, and creating a proper ecosystem for the ICT startup, supporting governments and other entities in Bahrain to collaborate together with all of us in supporting the tech startups. Number 4 would be to focus more and more on creation of an educational pillar. We want to collaborate with university to see what is the outcome that they are pushing into the market, and are these ready to be entrepreneurs. Majority of universities, not only in Bahrain, that's a global trend except for a few countries in the world, they try to push, let's say, graduates with the concept of employee. So the moment you graduate, you want to have your CV, then you want to go for a job. If you look at the Singaporean model, if you look at the Japanese model, majority of the university grads are actually focusing on entrepreneurship. They want to open their own company. They don't care about writing a CV. They care about how do I go to market and I create a change and a positive change in that market using technology. So the same thing we want to do here. We've been in discussion with a couple of universities on how do we collaborate with them, how do we support them to put a roadmap where the outcome of these universities should be at least some percentage of it as an entrepreneurship in the ICT field, in the technology field. So that's one of the focuses as well for us. And last but not least, as well to focus on expanding our network, and our collaboration with different countries. If we work with Export Bahrain as an example, if we work with EDB, if we work with more and more NGOs that are focusing on the same objective, our aim is how do we bridge with them to open multinational doors for the ICT sector in Bahrain. And also how do we sometimes focus with international players to come also to Bahrain and participate and partner with Bahraini companies to build up their base in the Middle East market.
Right. When we talk about ICT, and now that we're talking more about it, I want to get your opinion on where do you feel is there a missing link? Where should people in the field focus more? I mean, we've seen fintech, we've seen the medical field flourish in the ICT community, but what field has been neglected from your opinion?
I think fintech, even though we are pushing a lot behind it, and Bahrain has been doing great with Bahrain Fintech Bay, is a huge initiative. And having the fintech seed box in Bahrain, we were the first to do that. Allows us really to be on the front end when it comes to fintech. Still, we have so many things to do there. So fintech is still, I think, there are rooms to play with it. And fintech is based on blockchain technology. So I think blockchain is not only for financial technology services. Blockchain could be for real estate, could be for governments. So blockchain could be an area where a lot of companies should look at it, should focus on it. Then you have AI, artificial intelligence. I think artificial intelligence, some people could misread it, that it's about robotics and so on. It's not about robotics.
It's not.
It's about building intelligence into your data and deploying not a digital transformation initiative, but rather than digital transformation, you deploy something we call it intelligence transformation.
Right.
How do you bring intelligence more and more into your daily practices, and how you depend on intelligence, and how does intelligence accelerate your performance? All the large companies in Bahrain and medium companies, they should really look into the intelligence and what they can do with intelligence. Another field, I think, which I think Bahrain, so many Bahraini, they don't know about it, but a few years ago, the TRA and His Excellency Kamal bin Ahmed, they all announced a license for an IoT mobile operator.
Yes, I remember that.
So only people who are in that field, they might know about it, but majority will not know about it. So what does that indicate to us? IoT. Internet of the Thing is a big topic. We are still at the early stages of Internet of the Things. Then because we have a good 5G deployment, 5G becomes the base for IoT.
Yes.
It's very important that some of the Bahraini companies, they start to mingle and look into what the IoT can provide to them. And the beauty about the IoT against all other services, that it's multinational. Yes. The moment you put an IoT, you can service not only Bahrain, but you can service the whole region. You can service DHL, you can service Gulf Air. You can do magical things with IoT. So IoT is also one of the fields that we should focus on it. Last but not least, I think the app industry is still underdeveloped. We are focusing too much on similar apps, whether it's food order management or I don't know, event management. There are huge areas of app industry that is not yet tapped into it. Right. The health sector, there is the professional health sector, but there is also the personal health sector. Absolutely. That really needs an attention in the Arab region and Bahrain, for example, to focus on it on the app industry. And also one more point I remember now is to focus on the initiative to bring more and more students into the ecosystem of the application. So far, all the apps, if you look at it, is developed by, let's say, graduates at least. But the students really have amazing ideas. And they are still not tapping into that. I think some of the NGOs, they're trying to teach kids as young as 9 years old. How do you do coding? But not to the extent that how do you create your first mobile app?
Right.
But a real mobile app that you can publish it, you can do something with it. Even for 20 days, if you publish it and you put it on a store and you brag about it.
Just get the feel out of it.
Because that feeling will create an entrepreneurship feeling in some of them.
Yes, definitely.
And then they become the future, let's say, companies for Bahrain or for the region.
And I think also, I mean, focusing on that part for the applications, there are a lot of websites that teach it. You don't really have to go to school for it. There are a lot of websites online that teach how to create the apps or what kind of programs or generators or platforms to use in order to create certain apps that can be started on. Thank you very much for talking with us today and for giving us this information. We'll definitely have an update about BTEC soon in 2022, definitely. And we'll see you then.
Thank you very much. Thank you for welcoming us and hosting us today.
Thank you so much. And we'd also like to thank you, dear viewers, for watching us, and we'll see you next week in another episode of Inside Edition.